This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. Welcome to a brand new show here on the feed. This is Who's Next. Each month, we're going to be breaking down what's happening in the NXT brand of WWE. We're talking about the matches, the shows, the superstars, where they're going, where they've been, what do we think of them, and so on and so forth. And I am not here alone. I am Andy Atherton, by the way. I didn't say who I am. You guys don't hear me that much on this very network, usually on the Pop Experience. I do pop up here from time to time, and I'm going to be here monthly with my good friend, the guy who, when I thought, I want to talk about NXT because I really enjoy it. I'll tell why I enjoy it so much in just a few minutes. But this guy watches it, knows more about the brand than anybody here in Place to Be Nation, I think. He is the Mud Pie, Logan Crosland. Logan, thank you for partnering up with me to talk NXT every month.
Oh yeah, anytime I can talk about a little NXT, I'm happy to do it. Ben Locke might not be our number one fan, but we'll conjure on without him.
Yeah, you seem to be in the know, so to speak. When usually when there's something going on, somebody from NXT shows up that people don't recognize, they usually are tagging Logan, like, Logan, who's this guy? Who's this girl? And Logan breaks out the knowledge. So that's really cool. Logan, so you've been a fan of NXT for a long time. What do you love about it? So what makes you, what draws you to it to keep watching every week live if you can?
Yeah, I mean, especially the current incarnation of what it is. I think it really, we're going to talk about Black and Gold. We'll talk about 2.0. We'll talk about all of that. But I think at its heart, it was also always supposed to be developmental. And I feel like in a way now it is exactly that. It's like where, these guys and girls can, they're having matches in front of a crowd every week, but they're also learning and, getting better as they can in front of a crowd. So I think it got back to the heart of what it was supposed to be. In eras of Black and Gold, I feel like it got to be more of a third brand, just like it was main roster, and they were bringing in all the indie guys and stuff like that. And they bring people from the main roster back down to kind of help out some of the younger guys get a little bit better reps with somebody that's been in there a little bit more. But I really think at its core, it really got back to being what it was supposed to be in the first place, that maybe it got away from it at times, that it was really supposed to be a developmental where these guys and girls could really learn and grasp the product and what they needed to do and not to do in and out of the ring. Just better and all together, and and they could do it together and they can learn together. So I really enjoy watching them kind of learn their way to be those main roster superstars that they can be one day. Now, is everybody a hit? No, but I feel like there's a lot more hits than misses at this point for sure.
Yeah. As for me, I agree with pretty much everything you said. It is at its heart a developmental brand, and I think, I guess with Black and Gold, as much as I love it, and I actually have gone back. I haven't done it for probably a couple of months now, but I actually went back to 2012 when it started. I had never watched a lot of that stuff, and for me, it's a real treat. It's something I have on in the background. I'm doing other things. I'm watching it, but I'm not watching it. But I'm picking up on things to see like the debut of like Bray Wyatt and what Seth was and what the what's the tag team that they totally screwed up on the main roster. Connor and Victor.
The Ascension.
The Ascension, yeah, what the original Ascension was. And I was like, wow. Like, I was like so surprised, so impressed, and so kind of disheartened as I'm watching that. But like you said, it is a developmental brand. And Black and Gold, was so good. It was different. You didn't see the same guys every week in the beginning. And then it's kind of like playing, like when you're at a bar or a club and you're hearing the music, and the kind of it ramps up the music. You start a little slower, and the songs start getting faster and faster. Blah blah blah. They got too fast, I think, and they needed to come back. And a lot of people were against them getting rid of the black and gold, but it was a lot, an adjustment to the bright NXT 2.0. But I agree with you. It's really gotten back to that developmental where you see things and they try things. Some things work, some things don't. Some people work and people get better. They hone their crafts. And, if you're a wrestling fan like we are, you're on the social medias, like more some of the backstage stuff and how things work. And the fact that, they have promo classes and they have this class and they work on presentations and you can see that. It's like, it's like almost like you're like a parent watching a kid, or a teacher or something, like you're in that older person and you're watching these people just grow and get better every week, which is not something you see on Raw, SmackDown, or even like in other companies. It's like they've been out there, they've done it, and they who they are. They do change, they evolve. People get new characters, or they, because you can't stay the same thing your whole career. You have to go in different directions, try something different for a little while, then go back. Who knows? But that's the real joy I get out of watching NXT as a brand, as a product. So the mission statement though of this pod every month is exactly that. We're going to dive into the matches. So we're hopefully what we want to do is talk about the 4 shows in a month, and if there's a takeover, if that encompasses, we don't want to ramble on and have a huge long pod. We want this to be a nice digestible monthly show for everybody out there, and kind of go through the results and say if we thought, kind of give like some match ratings if we can, and then do some fun like things you'll see like on an ESPN show, like who all right this month, whose stock is up, whose stock is down, and we kind of do that kind of things. Who could be coming up to the main roster soon? Not kind of like predictions but kind of based on what we're seeing, and give some armchair quarterbacking, so to speak. Logan, what are you looking to get out of this show as we do it monthly?
Yeah, I just really want to provide that kind of in-depth analysis that we can do for the people that may not watch it, may need a little guidance into getting into it, talk about some of the guys that maybe aren't super featured that we enjoy, somebody on the lower tier, maybe like Briggs and Jensen, like as a tag team. I really enjoy them. So, we'll get into any and everybody that appears on the shows, and just, maybe exposing the people that may not watch weekly to those kind of guys that, you may not see and may not see the pictures, or, if you look on Twitter after the show, you might not see them, but they really make a big difference. So I really would just like to get more people to, watch the shows, enjoy them. I think if at its core, it is developmental, so not everything's going to be crisp and just knock your socks off every week, or not every match is going to be like that. Some things are going to be a little a hodgepodgey, or some people may mess up here and there, but I think at its core, if you're just watching because you're a wrestling fan and you enjoy wrestling, I think you can honestly watch this show every week and have a fun time. So I just want to get more people involved in watching the show. So that's my mission.
Yeah, that's kind of like my similar too, but also it's to kind of like almost like not like provide a service almost. There are other shows on this feed and other feeds like the No So feed that will talk about NXT at times there, but they talk about like everything else. We're in as you all have heard the term so many times, we're in peak TV, streaming services, cable, especially for wrestling fans. If you just think about how much live or close to live wrestling there is per week, you look at WWE. There's 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, 1 hour of NXT. So that's 6 hours right there. Don't even include the premium live events. And then you have AEW, which is 2 hours of Rampage. 2 hours of Dynamite, 1 hour of Rampage, plus their events. Plus people watch Impact. People watch, other shows. And it's a lot to take in. And sometimes your time, your attention is valuable. There's lots of great TV shows, lots of movies, lots of other things you want to do with your time. So if you're not going to watch NXT, maybe you'll throw us on in the car or while you're walking or something like that, and we'll break it down for you. And when you see these people show up on Raw or SmackDown or on some other thing, you're like, hey, I know a little bit about this person because Logan and Andy talked about it, and that's kind of what we like to do, because when you're in the know on something that like not other people are, and you kind of help them out and you navigate them, it kind of gives you a good feeling, as it's like the community part of being a wrestling fan. It's like, who is this guy? Well, this is this, and they're like, oh, cool, okay, so I'm gonna sit up in my chair a little bit, maybe, or like, oh, okay, well, let's give it a chance, but we're a little cautious about this person, so to speak. So we're not going to be blowing smoke too, and we're going to talk about things we don't like, because there are some things like some people like I'm not that high on, and I'm sure there are people Logan's not high on, and when it comes to like character and matches and things like that, I am going to give them, depending on who they are, so to speak, a little bit of a curve, so to speak, when I give a grade or commentary, because they are learning, they are developing, and you break a few eggs right now so that they give you a nice omelet in a year or two, so to speak. All right, so Black and Gold. I really love Black and Gold, but like Logan said, it became really the newbie, fresh faces, athletes didn't break through as much. And I think there's also a shorter leash under when Vince was running the overall product, even though it was Triple H and Shawn's baby. I think, Vince still had the final say, and his attention span was a bit smaller. And so you didn't, some guys, or girls, if they didn't hit. But then you started bringing in all those really great indie people. You had Adam Cole, and you had, Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, and they were all great. Not sure why exactly they went to NXT. Do you know why a lot of these indie wrestlers went to NXT? Do you know the reason?
The rumor and like whatever's always been said is that like so they could learn the WWE style a little bit more, so they could get those reps of like how the WWE wants them to wrestle, and just introduce them to a new audience and like get them in front of a crowd in a WWE landscape, I guess. But I always thought that was kind of a bullshit. It was more Vince's arrogance that like, oh man, nobody watches Impact, nobody knows who Samoa, just I think a lot of it comes down to Vince's arrogance, and I think part of that is the problem that had happened with Black and Gold eventually. But I think that was more what it was. It was like to learn the WWE style and get used to being what it felt like to be in front of a WWE audience, I guess.
Yeah, less pressure, less using the more precious airtime, so to speak, because NXT wasn't on USA then, so it was on the WWE network, and then it's on Peacock, and they didn't sacrifice possible ratings and advertising dollars on people that were unproven to the WWE universe, I guess. So right, is that kind of the gist of it?
Yeah, something like that. And to get them like immediately featured, if they were going to be on NXT, they were a big deal coming in. They made sure that the announcers and Triple H made sure they sounded like they were a big deal, or always were a big deal, because they usually were. A few of them flamed out, like Kenta never really and you'll hear that on PTV NXT, another show on this podcast network. But he never really worked out. But Nakamura and Joe and all them, and Rude and all the guys that came back, I think it was just to get them, like I said, familiar with the style, and just to immediately feature them and make them a big deal. So when they did go to the main roster, whether it worked out or not, there was a big new big guy was coming in, and you knew that it was important that they were coming up.
Yeah, like Drew McIntyre, like it was big for him to come back to NXT first, because he. His tenure on the main roster originally, he was good, but he wasn't great then. And the presentation of him wasn't great. I mean, a lot of people crap on 3MB, but those guys are all good. Heath, good, was a guy. Heath was somebody, I think we may see him back at some point, to take a little tangent, but I thought he was like the new, I don't know, Steve Lombardi, so to speak. He's a guy they throw out there, does the job, does right by the business, and Jinder, you can crap on Jinder all you want. he's a decent character, and it kind of served a purpose. The rumors about him getting the belt because of the big deal in India, but it is it was less pressure, I think, for them, and I do agree with that, because would you want Samoa Joe or Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn showing up on NXT and getting into the main event scene or near the main event scene, or you want them on Raw or SmackDown jobbing out to who knows, like Jeff Hardy or whoever, just to give an example there of somebody that had something that happened, not that long ago. Cool. All right. So then, a year ago or so, we got a rebrand of NXT and it became NXT 2.0. Gone was the black and gold, and it became very bright, very colorful. It was a little jarring for me, because I don't like my wrestling to be too bright. Like, I like it when it's, the arena will be bright during sometimes, but then you get the lights down and you only have the lights above the ring and all that stuff. It makes it more intimate. That's what NXT was really. It felt intimate to me because it was at the, Full Sail or the Performance Center, and it became, that. And then it just got so bright. And I think to me, it was like, oh, this is going to expose like these people a little more than they needed to be, because let's be honest, NXT 2.0 was a little rough. It was kind of like somebody took like a wrestling video game and took all these people and said, okay, which character do we want? Okay, all right, this person is going to be a poker player. This person's going to be, a cowboy. This person's going to be, that. It seemed like they were just looking for caricatures at the time. What do you think when they switched from black and gold to 2.0 and how it like in the beginning? Because to me, it took me a little bit to really start buying in.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about black and gold is whenever the call-ups happened at that point, I felt there was always a disconnect between Triple H and Vince. Like Triple H had them to a point where they were like top guys and they were awesome and they were in NXT, and then a call-up at that point didn't even really feel like a call-up. It just felt like they were switching brands, But yeah, the start of 2.0 was quite jarring for sure. Just all the colors and how bright it was, because it was always dark and kind of, I don't mean this in a bad way, but kind of dingy, with the lights real low, and it just seemed real dark, like you were saying, and then it became very bright, very color splattery with all the different colors and stuff like that. So, and you could tell, I feel like you could tell that Vince and Bruce Pritchard and his goons, or whatever you want to call them, started to take over, and like it became a lot more character based, and they were just going to throw these characters out there, and if they worked, they worked. If they didn't, they didn't. I think it became a very Vince type product and type of way that he could figure out what worked and maybe what didn't. Character wise, and if they were good in the ring, they were good in the ring. If not, at least they had that good character that at least if Vince thought so, they had that good character that could push them forward and maybe turn into something on the main roster eventually. Now, not many of them worked to start off with, but I think there were a few that kind of popped, it popped up and showed out a little bit at the start. So, but yeah, I definitely think you could tell who the reins got switched from Triple H to Vince at that little time period, and it was jarring for sure.
Yeah. If like in AEW, they kind of have a gimmick going with the Jericho Appreciation Society being sports entertainers and they're being wrestlers, and that's what I feel like happened with NXT. It went from being more of a wrestling brand to a more of a sports entertainment brand. I think in a nutshell. But they did try things. That was the thing in 2.0. They did try a lot, which I gave them credit for. But it took a while, because it was kind of like there was a lot of turnover in the roster. These are a lot of these were like new people, like I had never seen before, never heard of before, and not many indie. These were a lot of people that were not known that well. These were a lot of Performance Center people that had been there for a while, and also people that had done tryouts recently. So I think
A lot of
you know,
205 livers too. Like
yeah,
a lot of the guys were on a lot of 205 live when it wasn't necessarily 20. It wasn't the cruiserweight show anymore. It just became like the pre NXT. Like you went there before you showed up on NXT TV. So a lot of these guys were on there a lot before they actually came on Black and Gold
they,
NXT, and then they definitely started showing up a lot more when it became 2.0.
yeah, and also some NXT UK
Mm-hmm.
people were brought over, and because I liked you NXT UK, I always forgot it was on, because I think it was like on like our time, like 10 or 12. It was on like Thursdays, like during the day, and God bless him, Trent Williams watched it every week, and when he used to do This Week in WWE for the website, he included NXT UK. That was one thing. That was like the first thing he asked when he took it over from John Crow. It was like, "Can I include NXT UK?" I was like, "Of course you can. I would love that, because this is some good wrestling that we're not watching."
It is.
Before NXT went on USA, it was like, wasn't, you had to remember, because it was like, it's streaming, it's not like, oh, it's going to be on my TV, I could just put on the channel, I could set my DVR and that thing. It's like, you got to remember that it's on there, that's what you're going to watch. And if you really want to, you do. And then there's sometimes shit happens in your life, and you're like, oh man, I missed NXT this week, but I'll go online and read it. But I'm glad that they're getting the big exposure. Now, what did you think of the some people said it was the Wednesday Night War? What were you hopeful that NXT was gonna hold their own against AEW? What were your thoughts when they did that before the move to Tuesdays happened?
I always thought it was kind of a mistake to go head to head. I mean, AEW was the hot new company at the time, and I always thought that there was pretty much. I mean, I thought NXT was still hot at that point. I thought they still had Cole, Undisputed Era, all those guys. So I mean, I thought the product was just as good, but I think with the Dynamite being the hot new thing, and all the guys that everybody loved was over there that were not getting pushed in WWE. So maybe AEW could do something with them. So I thought with Dynamite starting, I thought it was always kind of a bad idea to go head to head, and it proved it to be that way, because NXT lost pretty much every week except 3 or 4 along the way. So I never really liked the idea of going head to head. I thought it would have been smarter to kind of just stagger it like they have now. And I mean, yeah, I guess I would have liked to have seen NXT win, but I definitely never thought that was probably a possibility in the long run.
Yeah, I was glad for the move, because you don't want to get spoiled when you're watching live wrestling. And I remember the Monday Night Wars, and it was like flipping channels, going back and forth. Or, the one good thing I did like was that they did run Nitro after the immediate re-air. Like, so it was, I usually chose to watch Raw, or like back then, you had a VCR. You know what those are, right, Logan?
What's that? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, because Logan was barely alive during the Monday Night Wars, and that's what it was. Like, I think because if I wasn't going to be home, I would always set my VCR to record Raw and then record the re-air of Nitro. So in this day and age, when there's social media and everything, I am so glad there wasn't social media during the Monday Night Wars. I mean, the only time we got spoiled was when they were doing the thing where they would tape Raw, and have it was airing live every other week, and you had Tony Schiavone, spoiling Mick Foley's win on Nitro. But other than that, we didn't get a lot of spoilers. Didn't get out, which was glad. You did have the newsletters that did when something was taped, but yeah, I just didn't like them going head to head, because it also created like kind of like a division in wrestling fans, because there were some people, that were so done and so tired of WWE that AEW was the shiny new toy. And I like AEW. I'm going to Dynamite, in 2 weeks. So I've been to Dynamite once. It's live wrestling. So I haven't been to a live WWE premium event for a bit. And it's just, if you're a wrestling fan, you love going to see it. I just don't make me make a choice. Like, if I have to watch one or the other, there's enough room in the pool for everybody, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, if you love wrestling, you have it pretty much every day of the week. Because even if
Yeah.
you want to say Thursday doesn't have anything, if you want to watch wrestling, Impact actually does come up on Thursday. You may not get the channel, but I'm pretty sure they upload the episode like right after it's over, so you can watch it that night. So I mean, every day of the week, I like having wrestling every day of the week. I may not necessarily watch it live every week. I won't lie and say that I do, but I'm gonna catch it at some point. If my daughter goes to sleep one night
Mhm.
a little earlier than maybe usual, I'll throw it on while my wife's doing some work or something like that, and I'm just trying to wind down, and I want to throw something on and have it on in the background. I look at my phone, or if a match seems to excite me or something like that, I may look up and watch the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I like having that. So yeah, definitely having to choose, and I don't like one more than the other. I mean, people probably will say that I do, but yeah, I mean, I like watching it all. So and
Yeah, I like if it's good wrestling, it's good. I want to watch it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I DVR all the shows.
Me too.
But I haven't set like it only saves the last one. So, because by that time, you know what happened, everything like that. So I do that because if I don't watch it live and somebody says, hey, there was a great match on Raw and I was out, or like something great was on SmackDown, I was at the movies or something, I could go when I get home, I could just easily just boom watch it, like not have to worry about upload it or find it like clipped or anything. I watch it as it was presented. So that's why I do it. I don't watch it like live, and I fast forward like too. I'm not going to sit there and go through my DVR and like watch it. No, I'm going to try to see the the beginning, maybe a highlight, and then I want to see the finish. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is, and we're probably going to do this periodically, is go through the roster and kind of just give some brief thoughts on what we think of them, what we think their immediate future could be, and what's in store for them. All right. So Logan, I'm going to throw it to you first. So let's start at the top. NXT champion Braun Breaker. What are your thoughts on Braun Breaker and what his future, so to speak? I mean, we're here. It's October 31st when we're recording this. What do you see him through the end of the year, kind of?
I obviously think he's still going to be champion. I think he'll reign through the end of the year. He seems like a guy who's primed to maybe have a Rumble spot, maybe make a deep run in the Rumble as we get into next year. But I think he'll be NXT champion through or the early part of the year, maybe around Mania time if they've built somebody up. Maybe somebody we'll talk about in a little bit. Maybe comes up and challenges him. But I think he's great. I think he's a superstar. If you watch him in the ring, he just seems so crisp. He's just like his dad. He just chucks people around, throws them around. The spear that he delivers is always brutal. The stalling gorilla press into the power slam is always awesome to see. But he's such a force. I feel like he just delivers everything that he does with real intensity and real force. So he's a ton of fun to watch. He probably could improve in the mic area a little bit, but his dad was never really good at that either. But I think he's intimidating enough and kind of, I think he's over enough and force enough to where, eventually he could be a world champion, but I think he definitely needs a little bit more marinating as well. But I think he'll be perfectly fine because I think he's a guy that a lot of people enjoy watching.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. He's got the in-ring. He's crisp. He's fluid. I think he's a little bit better than his dad technically at this point. Mm-hmm. He's also got his uncle. Say what you will. His uncle had a long career, had some great moments. He does need to kind of be, his character work needs a little bit. Like the character he is now is fine. And it's fine for the stage he's on. But when he's on a bigger stage, he's going to need to have a little more rounded, kind of like Roman. Roman was kind of, until he found like his real footing, and it took Roman a while. That's why I kind of see some similarities. Like this is a guy that he's a wrecker in the ring. He's got the pops. At some point he's gonna need something else to add to his overall presentation. As far as him being champion, I can see that. The only thing I could see him losing is, look, I think they booked themselves into a corner with Austin Theory having the briefcase. Because this is a kid that you want to prep for the future. You don't want him to, have like a Damian Sandow situation. I could see him cashing in and becoming the main heel, and that could get Braun to the main roster. Like he beats Braun for the belt. Then they feud a little bit, and then he wins the feud. Braun has his little swan song, and he's Raw or SmackDown bound. So, but I can definitely see him holding it till Mania season. Definitely see him showing up in the Rumble, especially with the rumors that I read today that they're talking about expanding both Rumbles to 40, which I gotta be honest, I was actually a fan of. I like the Rumbles. I like to give more people. I want to see more surprises, more things like that. It's my favorite event of the whole year. So you give me more surprises, more pops. I'm happy with that. With it being 40, give it a year, 2 years. Let's see if it works. If it just seems to be too long, too drawn out, too many. It's like with the women's. It's like, okay, Kelly, we love you, but do we need to see you every year in the Rumble? No. So that's kind of, I agree with you with Braun. So going over to the women's NXT champion, Mandy Rose, who I thought was going to lose it by now.
Yeah.
But she's really the poster child for somebody who got brought up too soon and didn't have enough in ring and didn't have the character thing to go to NXT and really work on it, surround herself with some talented cohorts in Toxic Attraction and elevate them as well and become this total package. Her in-ring improved, her character work improved. I think she's going to be 180 from when she left. She was like another, pretty blonde, athletic, but really you couldn't see her like winning a big match against like a horsewoman or somebody else of that ilk. She was there to have feuds, but she was going to lose more than she was going to win. And going back down there, she was a name, she was established, and she really brought some weight to the women's division down there. What do you think? What do you think of Mandy Rose and her run that she's had now?
No, I think it's been great. I think, like you said, she's the poster child for going back down and maybe honing a few little things that you may have struggled with in the main roster. And yeah, putting her with the group is great. She's a great bitchy leader. I'm sorry if that's the wrong words to use or whatever, but
like Mean Girls. So
yeah, she's the perfect leader in like the Mean Girl stable. And I really like Toxic Attraction. I like their presentation. I like how they've been the whole time that they've been there. They always somehow sneak Mandy Rose out with the title. Like you said, I think I would have expected her to lose it a couple of times by now. I feel like every time that there's a NXT takeover premium live event, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
I feel like every time I'm like, oh yeah, this is the time she's going to lose. Cause I was like at Halloween Havoc, I was like, oh, Alba Fire is going to be the one to beat her. Cause that's somebody she hasn't really beat or faced yet one-on-one. She's faced her in fatal 4-ways and triple threats and stuff like that. But that's not somebody she's faced one-on-one or whatever. So, and I think the one before that, I said the same thing, but she keeps using the girls to her advantage and, delivering that big knee and escaping with the victories. But I really like what she's done. I think they are prime and ready to all three go up to the main roster at the same time whenever she does lose the belt. I kind of feel like it has to be to Roxanne at this point. I feel like that's the only face that's like really over and they've been building a lot. So I feel like maybe that's the person that they traded off with, and then they all go to the main roster and prosper. I think they'll have success because I think they can just do the same thing that they've been doing on NXT with them, and I think it'll get over. So I've really enjoyed what she's done.
I agree with that. All right, so we got Wes Lee, the relatively new NXT North American champion. Logan, were you surprised when he won the belt at Havoc? Was it Havoc that he won? Yeah, right?
Yeah, he won it. Yeah, he won it at Havoc. That's right. I was a little surprised, yeah, but like I also looked at the people in the match and I was like, if Wesley doesn't win, it has to be Carmelo Hayes again, and I really didn't think that they were going to retread that again. So I definitely think and hope that this is one of those situations where the belt kind of elevates the guy, and maybe eventually he can elevate the belt as well. Because I think the belt is perfectly fine. I think Carmelo Hayes did a great job at elevating the North American Championship and making it feel important. He always said it was the A championship, so I think this is a time when the belt can kind of elevate the guy. I don't not like him. I think he's great in ring. He has the high flying style, can do all the crazy things. But I feel like he was really lost when Zachary Wentz, I forget his Nash Carter, sorry, got released, and he was just kind of lost. And they played that into his character, and he was kind of sad and a little bit lost without his tag team partner, and I'd had to kind of figure things out. I don't know that they fleshed him out as a character enough to kind of put him in this position yet, but like I said again, I'm hoping the belt can kind of prop him up and make him seem a little bit, or they'll present him a little bit better as champion. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm kind of skeptical, I'll say, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the point. Like, this was a classic taking chicken shit and making chicken salad, so to speak, because the whole thing with Nash Carter happened. Because I like the Radicals, or whatever they were called. They
MSK.
MSK, like, yeah, they were the Radicals before they came. The Rascals. So many zzz. But I do like the guy, and yeah, he's still finding his character, I think, and the in-ring is there, but that's really what has to come around, and he can hold a belt and say he's a champion and elevate himself, and I think there's going to be a little change with that. I thought they were going to go in one direction with Sangha, but I don't think they are now because of the return of Veer. But he's somebody whose in-ring is there. And he needs time, because he's not main roster bound anytime soon. I don't think he's a guy who could show up in the Rumble, maybe do some fun spots, but he needs to be in the ring like every week, just working with people and getting himself over, because he had been a tag team wrestler for so long. This is his first singles run that I know of. I mean, I saw a little bit of them in Impact when I would ever catch it, but I like the guy. I think he's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right,
definitely.
So the NXT Tag Champions, we are Pretty Deadly. I love these guys. Their in-ring is okay to me. Like, I don't really like their finisher, Spilled Milk. It's one of those. I love the name, but it's one of those, like, is that really a finisher though? Like, when you think of like tag team finishers, the Doomsday Device, Demolition Discretion, the Steiners, Heart Attack, like this Spilled Milk is just not anywhere near there. I like their character. I like their presentation. I like that they immediately, they had been the NXT UK champions not that long ago, and they strapped the belts to them here, and that elevated them right away. That made them serious, because they were not familiar. Like, I didn't know really that much about them, because it's like I hadn't watched NXT UK for a while. And I think they weren't even on the show last time I had watched it. So I'm glad they did that. But they're, again, another team that it's going to be a little while. Hopefully they're not the modern day Beverleys when they come up, and they're more, early rockers, so to speak, but just like a different kind of rocker. So, what do you think of Pretty Deadly?
Yeah, the finisher, they could use a little spicing up of the finisher. Like I said, I love the name just because it's hilarious that they named it that. But it does look pretty weak most of the time, and especially if they hit it on like a bigger guy. If they hit it on a smaller guy, maybe they could hit it with a little more torque or something like that. But yeah, most of the time it looks pretty weak. But yeah, I think, like you said, the presentation's fine, or the presentation's good. The characters are great. They could be kind of bland in ring to some people. I totally get people's perspective when they say that. I think they're perfectly fine in ring. But yeah, like you said, I think this is a team that needs to. They don't need to be champions for forever, but they need to kind of stay on here and work with some more different teams, and see, get more comfortable with some different styles that they can wrestle against different guys. So I do really like them. I think they do have a future, but to be that next top tier tag team, or even to even go to the main roster and qualify for the belts, or even fight for them eventually, they definitely need a lot more seasoning for sure.
Yeah, I don't think they can hold around with the Usos or the Street Profits or the New Day or most of the tag teams. I think they're good, but I think they need something. All right, so over to the women's NXT women's tag champions, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter. These were a couple of journeymen, so to speak. They had been in NXT for a while, put them together, started to, they were one of those kind of let's take these two people. Sometimes you get lightning in a bottle, and you end up with the New Age Outlaws. Other times you just end up with crap. But they're kind of dancing hip hop. They've shown little heelish tendencies here and there. What are your thoughts on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter?
Yeah, I can't really figure them out from a character perspective because I feel like it just happens to fit whoever they're facing at the time. But I mean, I guess that they can be like that. They can, act kind of, assholish to their face competitors that they're going up against, but they can also be real resilient baby faces in the ring when they're facing heels. But I think they're good in ring. I think they're perfectly fine. I think Katana's a little bit more crisp and more polished than maybe Caden is. But I enjoy them in ring, but I just have a whole problem with the NXT women's tag team titles as a whole. I just think that if they were going to do women's tag team titles, they didn't need to do them here and really, when they're developing people, put them together as teams and make them teams from the start instead of just, eventually throwing people together, because they're still doing that. And I mean, they do it on the main roster as well. Like, I feel like there only needs to be one women's tag team title. And if it's a main roster team that needs a little bit more seasoning, they could come back and, fight for these NXT women's tag team titles. But I just feel like there's not enough to support both belts. So I feel like there always should have just been one. But I think they're solid champions, but I just think the division is just, there's not enough people for them to really go against, and they just have to kind of throw, Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons are fighting them right now, and they've had a match last week.
Mm-hmm.
But they really could. They really just throw a lot of teams together to kind of face up against them when it's not Toxic Attraction. But but yeah, I enjoy them enough. But I just, the NXT Women's Division is or the tag team division is kind of in shambles. So I don't really know where they're headed or who they're going to face up against.
Yeah, I think the whole defending it on all three brands was good in theory, but I think they realized that the women at NXT 2.0 weren't really up there with the exception of a few, up there with the women on Raw and SmackDown. I think that was kind of like, who's down there really that is legit, that could challenge for the titles that a main roster women's tag group pair have. So I like them. Do I think they would do well on the main roster? I really don't know. They're a couple of another kind of smaller in stature. Can they hold their own in there against the bigger women in the presentation? I mean, I know size doesn't matter when there's the talent, but I just feel like they're a couple. They need more. I'm one of those people that think like tag teams should have names, matching tights and all that stuff. And like, you have Toxic Attraction. That's a big difference between being just known as Gigi and JC. They are Gigi and JC, but they're Toxic Attraction. The Iconics, because those are two women that were in NXT for a while that were finding their way, and they finally found their way together. And they, the team of Peyton Royce and Billie Kay was not as good as the Iconics because they had an identity, and I think they really need an identity that's more than, like you said, they serve, they're almost tweeners, like they serve their whoever they're facing. So all right, so we're quickly going to go through the rest of the roster, kind of give like a sentence or two. Alba Fire, like, I thought she was going to win it, the former Kaylee Ray, as she was an NXT UK champion. I thought she was going to do it, but she before she didn't have a character. I kind of like this tartan Scottish, going with that kind of Highlander, so to speak, vibe. I do think she'll have the belt at some point, and then maybe 6 months to a year we could see her up on the main roster. What do you think on Alba Fire?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, she's been around long enough. She's been in NXT UK, and she's even been in around NXT, even Black and Gold
Hmm.
before. I think she's wants somebody that if they needed, bodies on the main roster, and I don't want her to just, be another person that's on the main roster. I want her to be treated correctly because I think she is super talented. So maybe staying down is the right thing for her in the long run, but I could definitely see her going up to the main roster if they wanted her to be. But yeah, if she hangs around, maybe she eventually gets the belt at some point. I honestly kind of would have liked her to win at Halloween Havoc, but I understand that they wanted to get Mandy Rose to that whole year as champion kind of thing.
Hmm.
But I do like the new character. The name is, well, whatever. If she has to be something different, I like what they went with. I like the little character that they've given her with the bat on fire, and just, she's a silent killer, and she's always stalking people around the back and, beating their asses with the bat. So I have enjoyed her since she did the name change and a little bit of a character change. But she's one of those that, like I said, I could see her on the main roster soon, but I also could see her kind of staying down and helping the newer girls out, finding their way
Yeah,
in the ring. So, because
yeah,
she's a
maybe
veteran.
maybe like a Champa, so a role like he had like
Yeah,
his last year. So like solid, veteran and can help, get the others over. Yeah, I think so. Amari Miller, I don't know much about. I think I've only seen her like a couple of times. I think there's still a lot of work there. Like she still has to come along. Do you have any quick thoughts on Amari?
yeah. I mean, she's kind of a level up veteran,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Hmm.
That's the best way to describe her. I mean, she's good in ring, but she's one of those that's like the veteran of the real low tier people that are getting started, I guess, is the best way to describe her. It's probably an insult, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Hmm. Yeah.
NXT level up is for those people that are really starting to get their feet and get their feet wet in the ring and getting in front of a crowd. But she's a good solid hand in that area. And she's helped out a lot of these girls get TV ready and all that. So I think she's all right, but I think she is a far way away from even thinking about being on any other kind of TV. She may do a job spot every now and then on NXT regular, but yeah, she's just that solid hand and that level up class, I guess I should say.
Okay. All right. So let's Andre Chase, and we're gonna lump in the rest of Chase U. That's Thea Hall and Bodie Hayward, I believe his name is, because they're the only two real names that we know. I mean, I like it. I like the gimmick. The guy's got a catchphrase, teachable moment. I do like that. His in ring, not so high on. Bodie, Thea is young and green, but she's talented. She's got the athleticism. I don't see this being a main roster gimmick.
Mm.
I mean, look, teacher gimmicks don't get over. No matter how big the person may have been. Like we had Dean Douglas, we had Matt Stryker. Uh, it's. I equate this to like Adam Rose. Adam Rose
Yeah.
gimmick worked in NXT. I mean, going back to my rewatch I'm doing right now, I'm like, I love Leo Kruger too. I love that. But Adam Rose was fun. It was fun in a smaller arena. When you get to the big roster and you have to have a lot more people buying in on this, I don't really see this getting over on the main roster. I think this is an NXT gimmick. I think the guy is okay in ring, but it's something fun. It's not a bad thing. Maybe they could use Chase U to bring some other people along. We'll see. I do like that they have a little Chase U section. It's something. This is something that's NXT's. I don't think it belongs anywhere else, in my opinion. What do you think of Andre Chase and the rest of Chase U?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that this is something that's probably it's great in NXT. I really enjoy the whole section. I love the little classroom bits that they do. I think comedically Andre Chase is pretty talented. I think he's getting better in the ring. I'm like you. I think he still could use a little bit of work, but I think he's getting better. He had a match with William Regal's kid. We'll probably talk about him at some point, but he had a match with him a month or so ago, and I thought it was really good. That might be more on Dempsey, but I thought Chase brought his end of it as well. This is a gimmick that I just could never see working on the main roster. I mean, they could be lower tier, kind of tag team, maybe a little bit him and Bodie. But I think they could be I think they could rise a little higher in this NXT. Maybe when some of the other tag teams kind of file out, like maybe the Creed brothers go up or something like that, they could be tag title contenders. Chase and Hayward could be. But yeah, this is something that I don't ever really see working on the main roster. I mean, it could be on the main roster, but I don't think it's ever going to it's never going to elevate past a certain point up there for sure. But I think it's super over down in NXT, and I could see Bodie and Andre being tag champs at some point, maybe in the future, but a little bit further down the road.
Yeah, I can see it. All right, so a guy who was brought up to the main roster, I think prematurely initially, and is back now, didn't have a character for a while on the main roster. Then they kind of did the African royalty prince thing, and now he's back. And I don't really understand what his character is now, but he's a solid worker. I want to see what maybe he does, like what his reclamation project is. But I'm talking about Apollo Crews. What do you think on the Apollo Crews move to NXT?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the whole Nigerian Prince thing. I like that he kind of got over and got the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania a couple years ago. I like that whole character. I obviously knew that it didn't have legs to go very far, I guess, once he lost the title. If he didn't win it, if he didn't continue to win championships in the mid card like that, it was probably just going to get muddled down and, get a little bit forgotten about. But, I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of waiting to see what, maybe this character is. He obviously sees he sees the future somehow, like some people, like he's seen like other people get attacked, or he'll like see that somebody's on the ground after they got attacked, and then a couple weeks later, like a week later, that happens in the vision that he saw. So I'd like to see that get a little bit more fleshed out. But like you said, he's a solid hand in the ring. I don't know that he's ever probably going to be more than that. I don't think this is a guy that's going to fight the world title up on the main roster or anything. I think he could be a contender for Breaker and have maybe a good match on a takeover special or something like that. But I think he's just a solid guy, solid mid-carder. I hate to call him a mid-carder for life, but I just think that's probably his height and what he can reach at this point. It's just, some people, that's what some people's thing is. So, That's
not everybody is a world champion, but you could have a solid career and be a great worker and still be over.
Exactly.
You throw an Intercontinental run or a U.S. title run or an NXT North American run on you, and it kind of validates you for a little period of time. Then you go back to, being that guy that, puts other people over, gets you wins, but, you're there to put on good matches. And that's kind of where he is. But I'm curious to see where his character goes. All right. So we got Axiom, who I don't know much about. I forgot what his name was before.
A-Kid.
A-Kid, yeah. He came from was he there already, or is he somebody that they recently signed? I can't.
No, he was NXT UK. He was one of their guys, yeah.
I mean, he's fine. Cruiserweight mask guy's got a little mysteriousness to him. Not mysterious, but mysteriousness to him. I mean, really not much more to say on my end. Anything on your end?
Yeah, I'm not sure I like the mathematician superhero character very much, but he's solid enough in ring. Like you said, he can do the high flying stuff. He's pretty good with submissions as well. He was the first. The NXT UK had the Heritage Cup Championship. He was the first, or he was one of the. I don't know if he was the first, but he was one of the first NXT Heritage Cup champions. So he was really good at that British rounds style. But I did enjoy his matches with Nathan Frazier. The little
those were fun.
Best of 3 series that they had. I'm glad that Frazier ended up winning because I think he's a little bit more fleshed out. I like him a little bit better. I don't know that this character is going to go very far. I think it might, fizzle out and he may become A-Kid again, but we'll see.
yeah, it's always worth trying something different. I'm going over the roster, of course, on the website. So Boa, we saw him for a while in that that gimmick with the mystical Chinese stuff going on, and we haven't really seen him since. So I don't think there's much to say about him. We got Brooks Jensen and trying to find his name. I know Josh Briggs, and we're going to throw Fallon Henley in there. I like these guys. I'm higher up on Briggs. I think he's better. I think Jensen, there's something about him that I think I can't take him serious. Yeah, I can't take him seriously. Like, I just think like he's one of those people that stares at, like, I think like he stares at the camera too much. Like, I think he's like he's supposed to be all pissed off and he's smiling. Like, and nobody's even saying Uzi around him. I think he's okay in the ring. Those cutoff jean shorts were terrible.
Oh yeah,
he was wearing for a while. But I do like Briggs. I think these are guys that, give them a little more time. They're kind of maybe like a Southern Justice, Smoking Guns kind of thing, where they're solid faces, and they could probably be heels at some point. I like Fallon Henley. I think she's green. But I do like her. I think she's got potential. I think she's a bit away from being on there. I mean, if she comes up, she's got to be like somewhat of a valet, like a Zelina Vega kind of thing, where she's not in the ring as much. Well, I do like Zelina Vega in the ring, don't get me wrong. But for Fallon Henley, I think she'll have matches here and there, but I think her main job is to be that, that valet, that manager spot for a tag team. I think that really would protect her and give her a chance to continue to grow and get better. What are your thoughts on this tag team and the whole trio, actually?
Yeah, this is a group that actually kind of grew on me as 2.0 kind of went on. I really thought, like you said, like Jensen was such a goober and such an idiot, and they always made him look like such a fool. And I think he's real green in front of like camera, like you were kind of saying. But I feel like they went to NXT UK and won the NXT UK tag titles. But I feel like when they went over there and had a couple of matches over there, I really feel like they got their feet under them. I do agree with you that I think Briggs is a little bit further along. I think he was a little bit more polished on the indies too. I think he wrestled a little bit before this, and I think this is really Jensen's kind of first exposure. I mean, his dad was a wrestler, obviously Bull Buchanan and everything, but yeah, I think this tag team has feet. I think they could be tag champions eventually. I do think, like you said, I think Jensen needs a little bit more. He needs to get a little more polished in some areas. But I think Briggs could be a star on his own if he ever broke away, for sure. And then I think Henley, like you said, I think she's pretty green, but I think she has enough charisma, and I think she is good in the character that she has right now enough to, maybe elevate herself eventually. But she definitely needs some. Right now, she definitely needs to stick to being the manager and have a match every now and then. Maybe be involved in a 6-man every now and then with the two of them, and whoever else happens to have a female manager as well. So yeah, I like them, but they could probably polish them, have a little bit more polishing as well, for sure.
All right, we'll talk about another tag team you mentioned, the Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius. These guys have grown on me more. Like, it wasn't like didn't like them. It was kind of like, oh boy, they didn't really have much personality. They needed something, and I think they've been brought along, and I think they're showing some more potential with some more of their character work. They weren't just these two amateur guys that were in there with Roddy and whoever else. They were, they're starting to show something. I think they will be pretty damn good on the main roster. A solid, like I would love to see Kurt come back, to kind of give these guys a little bit more of a rub. But I see them, they need a little bit more seasoning down there. Give them like a nice solid run with the belts. I love Brutus's Cannonball is getting over on me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think these guys are solid. The in-ring is there. It's like a lot of them. It's they need that next thing, because there are so many great wrestlers out there. It's that, what can you put together to make me care about you? And I'm starting to care about the Creed brothers more than I did, a few months ago. So I think you're a little more higher on them than I am, right?
Oh no, yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
great. I think they, if they were called on to be on the main roster today, I think they could succeed.
Mhm.
They probably go through some growing pains. Obviously, everybody does a little bit, but I think they're really great. I think they could have great messages with the Street Profits, the New Day, the Brawling Brutes, whoever you throw them in there with. I think they. I just feel like this is one of those teams that's like elevated to the point where like I really couldn't see Pretty Deadly beating them unless they cheated somehow.
Yeah.
Like I don't think any team in NXT at this point can beat them straight up because they're just I feel like they're so far and above everybody else that like they're just I don't want to say they're wasting their time, but they're like I feel like they're just muddling and kind of just drifting there. I feel like Toxic Attraction's doing that a little bit. I mean, Mandy's
Yeah.
still the champion, but GG and JC are just kind of floating
They're
around,
they're in a
just
holding
being
pattern.
yeah, they're just kind of in a holding pattern until they get that call or whatever. But yeah, if they could get another tag title run and they could hold it for a little bit longer this time, that could be cool as well. But like I said, I think I think they're so talented and kind of high above everybody else at this point that I feel like they could use a call up to the main roster and maybe get a little bit more experience up there.
Yeah, talk about a guy who's main roster ready. I think Cameron Grimes.
Oh,
He was in Impact for a while, right? I remember seeing him. I don't know, like just so everybody knows, if you're not that familiar with me, I have a shitty memory.
mm,
I'm just putting it out there. So I remember him. I remember seeing him in Impact. I didn't. His character, his like that Bayou-esque kind of guy. Kind of took a little while to grow on me. I think again another solid in-ring guy. I don't think there's much more he can do down there. I mean, I liked his little thing with DiBiase for a little bit. I don't know where they're going with his current thing with the Schism or whatever it's called. And then, but yeah, I think he's somebody that we'll probably see by WrestleMania season. I think he'll be on the main roster. What do you think about Cameron Grimes?
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think this is a guy that definitely. I don't know what he'd really do on the main roster right now, but maybe he brought the OC into be as tag team partners in that 6 man that he had a couple weeks ago. So maybe he could kind of fit in with them somehow. I know he wasn't in the Bullet Club or whatever originally. So but maybe they could kind of guide him and they could be his they could lead him along a little bit as he gets his feet a little bit more wet on the main roster. But yeah, he's a great in ring talent. The thing with the schism has been going on for a long time, so I kind of want to see it eventually get to an end. I feel like it's ended and kind of kept going a few times, so I would like to see that have like a finality to it or whatever. Maybe the finality is him, saying goodbye to NXT and going up to the main roster and doing something else. But this is a guy that I feel like is in that kind of waiting period where he's still down in NXT, he's still doing good stuff, but he definitely could use the newness of being up on the main roster a little bit for sure.
And talking about main roster ready, Carmelo Hayes. The
Oh,
guy, the guy's been a champion. His character is there. The in ring is there. I think it's just a matter of time till the guy is up there, and he's gonna struggle for a little while. He'll probably be lower mid card but he's one of those guys that when he comes up, you put him in like opening match to get the crowd up. Him and like Ali or somebody else just get him out there, give him like 10, 12 minutes just to rip it up. And he's a guy, and eventually though he will be one of your stalwarts of at least your mid card, even to your upper mid card. I think as he matures more. What do you think of him?
nah, he's probably my favorite guy right now
Yeah,
in any brand. Honestly, he's just great. I think all of his stuff, promo stuff is great. I think his in ring stuff is great. I would like him to unseat Braun as the NXT champion eventually. I think maybe they can build a match up into that point around Mania season if they do a takeover at Mania or around Mania.
oh, okay, I see that.
Maybe him end up being the guy that beats Braun. Obviously probably with a little help from Trick Williams, but um, yeah, I love him. I think he's great in ring. He's never disappointed me whenever I've gone into a match. or gone into a show watching him have a match and anything like that. So I think he's just great, and I definitely think you're right. He'll have success, maybe more in the mid card when he gets to the main roster, just because he's kind of a smaller guy. But I think he'll definitely be an ace that they can always go to have a good opening match, or whenever they need a good match, they can throw him in there and he'll be the guy to deliver it for sure.
Now the next guy, and I'll talk about his associate too. He's got the characters there, even if it's a bit of a ridiculous character. It was one of those, this is a caricature kind of things when 2.0 started. I'm talking about Tony D'Angelo, the Don of NXT. It's a ridiculous character. It's kind of an outdated character. This is something maybe you'd see like back in like the 90s to even into the ruthless aggression era. Plus, he's got Channing Stax Lorenzo. 2 Dimes got released inside with AEW. I like the guy. Don't get me wrong. His in-ring needs work, and another gimmick that I don't know if it's going to get over. It may be a little too ridiculous for the main roster. I mean, there are things that we are, as wrestling fans, are asked to buy into. Because when if you just talk to somebody who's not a wrestling fan, you tell them, "Oh, this guy, what does this guy do?" Well, he's an undertaker. And what does this guy do? This guy, is a barber. It's like you're asking a lot of like the normal people to like understand what we're watching. But I think he's good in ring. I mean, I felt bad he got the bad injury. I don't know exactly how long he's going to be out. I think for what the character is, he has it down. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's got legs outside of NXT. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I do love the character, but it's kind of like a chase you kind of thing. I don't know that it necessarily works anywhere else really. But yeah, like you said, I think he does need to improve a little bit in the ring. I kind of hope that they get maybe when he comes back, they get another guy to go with Stax to kind of replace 2 Dimes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the stuff with them and Legato went on a little too long, but I'm glad that it finally had a finality and it resulted in Legato going up to the main roster, because I think they're definitely capable of being up there and can flourish and shine as they go up there. But yeah, if D'Angelo's ever going to be on the main roster, he probably needs to improve a lot in the ring. He's like you said, he's perfectly fine. He's serviceable. He can have a good match with some people, but I'm not sure he can quite have that great match with anybody quite yet. So he definitely needs to improve in that area. Stax is fine. I think he's a tag guy. Honestly, yeah. I think he's one of those guys that can be in a tag and flourish in that department, but I'm not sure he can kind of survive or exist on his own.
He's like a headbanger.
Yeah.
Like they're a good tag team. They're fun. They need to play off each other. But is he a guy that I'm gonna buy into as a singles guy? I'm not at this moment. Yeah. Things change. Who knows? All right. So this one, I liked her when she started. I love her now. A babyface Cora Jade is not as good as this heel spoiled bratty Cora Jade. I really like this evil kind of. I want to see her do more though, like with this character, because her feud with Roxy. I don't know if it's done. I mean, Roxanne finally got the win on her, so maybe it's over. But I kind of really dig this Cora Jade. I did like the skater girl. It was fine. It was amusing, but I wasn't expecting her heel turn when it happened. Mm-hmm. So it kind of I kind of like that surprise, and it didn't. It was like a switch flipped. Like she immediately had that heel character down. So that's why I kind of like really enjoy her, and I want to see her get a run with the belt at some point within the next year. I don't think she's going to be on the main roster probably for a while. I think she's got at least another year in NXT, I'm thinking. But I do think there's a big upside with her. What do you think?
No, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, like you said, the face stuff was good. I think she could have gotten, so far with that. But I think the fact that she's shown that she can do this heel character as well as she has, and as well as she's doing so far, that it just makes her a more well-rounded person, well-rounded talent to have in NXT. so she can go back to that face side. But I think she's really flourishing in this heel run. If maybe Roxanne's not the person to take the belt off of Mandy Rose, maybe they have like a triple threat or something like that, and Cora steals the victory on Roxanne or something like that, so Mandy really never gets pinned or something like that. But I definitely think her or Roxanne will probably be the next NXT Women's Champion, and I think she'll get that run that you're kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Even if Roxanne does win it, I think Cora beats her, not relatively quickly, but close to around when Roxanne maybe wins it from Mandy Rose. But
Yeah,
I see a lot of upside with her for sure.
yeah, they could be our Bailey Sasha basically.
Especially if she stays with Braun.
Yeah. Especially, yeah. All right, a couple. I'm just going to run through a couple here quickly. That I think they're fine. I think they need a lot of character work. Damon Kemp, Dante Chen, Duke Hudson. Going alphabetically, people, if you haven't noticed. Damon Kemp, I don't really know much about. He really didn't do much before his heel turn. I think for me to care about him. No, I'm Dante Chen. I've barely seen. Duke Hudson, has, a poker player. Okay. They had that couple thing. Okay. He's a guy that needs something. And until he gets that, he's going to be down there. Like, obviously, tonight it was on Raw as one of the pull apart people. He was there doing main event, which is sometimes a showcase for them. Maybe he could be like an Elias who doesn't really do much in NXT except for some character stuff, but then gets over on the main roster. It happened with Alexa Bliss as well, where she was good, but she never really won anything down there. Maybe that could be what happens with Duke. So do you have anything on Damon Kemp, Dante Chen, or Duke Hudson?
Damon Kemp, I think I really don't know what he's going to do after the Creed brother stuff, because him and Julius had the ambulance match at Halloween Havoc. So I'm interested to see where he goes from here, but I'm not quite sure where he kind of heads from this way. Maybe him and Roddy have a match since he took Roddy out. We were talking about Amari Miller kind of being that stalwart of the Level Up crew. Dante Chen is that on the men's side for sure. He is on almost every week. That's one of those shows that I don't necessarily watch every week, but I'll watch a bunch in a row, on a Sunday when I don't have anything to do. But I'll mostly just have it on in the background. I don't necessarily watch every second of it or something like that, but he's always featured on that. So I feel like he's a guy that they want to be a little bit more than he is, but he's definitely that stalwart on that Level Up show. And Duke, I mean, he has the look. He's tall. He's muscular. He's good looking. So, I mean, he has the look for sure. I do think, like you said, he needs that other thing. I don't really know what it is necessarily, but he needs something else to kind of push him over the edge. But I definitely think he has some of the tools to be maybe not a superstar, but he could be a good person to have around. In the NXT
part of a faction maybe.
Yeah,
I like him with Tony D'Angelo. It's they're sitting around whatever character class. Okay, what does everybody want to be? All right, well I could do a New York accent. Well, I'm a good poker player, kind of thing. And it's let's shoot. The thing about it is they're shooting their shot and they're doing it with the stakes are lower. So this is a guy that there's stuff there. We just the clay's got to get molded a little bit better, or maybe it's not a teapot, it's a saucer. It's kind of a thing. Really shitty analogy, but you know what I'm trying to get at.
I got you.
A couple of guys that I are still relatively new, but they've had some really good matches. Idris and Nofe, and I'm looking for his tag team Malik Blade. I like these guys. Again. They have the in-ring. They're exciting. They're high flyers. Need some character stuff. They need a tag team name first of all. That's what's missing. But other than that, I could see these guys being your next Street Profits. It took the Street Profits a little while to get their footing, especially Angelo Dawkins. He was in NXT forever, but these guys are solid. I think they need to be more rounded out in terms of being WWE superstars. What are your thoughts?
No, yeah, I definitely agree on everything you just said. They're kind of the plucky babyface team that can sell really well for a bigger team, which most everybody's bigger than they are.
Yeah.
They're pretty small guys, but they do that high flying stuff, and then they look good in ring. They're solid hands so far, and I definitely think that they could grow to be a lot better if they can get that character. They're pretty goofy backstage. They play like the ladies' man, and Malik's kind of a nerd that wears like the sweater vest and all that. So they have some character to them, but I think a little bit more could be fleshed out in their area. And they could, all of these guys that are on here for a reason. They're to get better in the ring and get more comfortable in front of a crowd and all of that. So I think they could definitely improve in areas, but I think they're perfectly solid the way they are.
All right. Elektra Lopez, I think we need to see more from her. I think she was a good part of Legado. I kind of see where they were going now with replacing her with Zelina Vega, because Zelina's over. Zelina's been around longer. She's definitely has more of a presence. And she gives Legado a bit more of a rub, like a more legitimacy to the people that don't watch NXT. They only watch Raw and SmackDown. We need, give her time to be on her own, because she wasn't on her own for very long before she got put with Legado. So I want to see her show me what she can do. That's really what I'll have to say on Elektra.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. She almost feels a little bit aimless without Legado, but I kind of excited to see where she can go without them. I think part of the reason they put Zelina with Legado is I don't know that Elektra was quite main roster ready, while I think the guys were. Santos for sure, and I think the tag guys are really solid. I think they're really great in everything that they did. They're never going to be the top team in the company, but I think they were perfectly solid in everything that they were thrown in, and they did a good job with everything that they were given. But yeah, I don't think she was quite to the level of them, and I think it would have been really forcing it to put her up there at the same time. So I'm excited to see where she kind of fits in the women's division going forward.
I don't think we have anything else really to say about Gigi and JC. They're main roster ready. I mean, they're awesome. They're great. I thought the kind of the skit stuff they did with Halloween Havoc was some great character work for both of them. I like that they were, around at Mania and all that stuff and NXT, and they were in a tag tournament. Unfortunately, you had a concussion thing with Gigi that took them out. But I liked them. They were another one. Like they were like, who are these girls? Like I didn't know who Priscilla Kelly was or whoever JC was beforehand, but they put them together. They gave them a tag team name. They gave them a package, and they partnered them up with Mandy. And I think the two of them helped Mandy as much as Mandy helped them. Like Mandy made them legitimate, because she's like, okay, I was on the main roster, now I'm back here, and you're my girls. You're who I'm going to be with. And at the same time, they protected Mandy. They rounded out the whole package and elevated Mandy to that Regina George role there. So I don't really have anything else to say about those two.
No, yeah, they're great, and they're definitely main roster ready. They could go up there tomorrow, but Mandy's got to handle her business. She's going to be champion, and if she's going to stay champion, they're going to be the reason that she stays champion. So somebody's going to have to come out with some heavy hands to kind of ward them off to kind of help whoever eventually takes down Mandy to win the title. So. But I definitely think they're main roster ready. I've enjoyed everything they've done. Like you said, I think they elevated Mandy, and Mandy definitely elevated them as well. So, just great all around. So nothing else to say for sure.
All right. Grayson Waller, another pretty much main roster ready. I think, he's got the personality. He's got the in-ring. I don't dig his outfit that much, so to speak. It's different. I'd give him that. I think, he has a little thing with AJ, and he held his own. So I'm curious. He's somebody that probably will stay down for a little while longer, at least, because, we can't have everybody come up at once. He's a guy that could be there for a bit, but he just continued to get better and hone, and he doesn't need to get better, but he just give him more repetitions, more seasoning, give him something meaty to sink his teeth into, because he really hasn't had anything all that meaty. He's got this little thing with Apollo, which has been good, but there's a guy that I think he's yes and no. He's main roster ready, so to speak. What do you think about Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I definitely think he could succeed if he went up to the main roster right now. He's one of my favorite guys. He's Scott Shiflett's favorite guy for sure because
Yeah.
of the in between the legs elbow that he does. Scott loves that. But no, his character stuff is great. I think he's good in the ring. He's not anything. He's not great shakes or anything like that. But I think his character is definitely definitely top notch. But he, if you seem to notice, anytime they bring a main roster guy down, they kind of throw him with him at least at first.
Yeah.
Even Truth last week, Truth came out to act like he was hosting Halloween Havoc after it happened or whatever. But this week they're having a match, so that they seem to trust him and seem to think that he's a guy that they can throw these main roster guys because he had the thing with AJ. He's fought Apollo. I think other people that they brought down, they've kind of put with him. So they obviously trust him, think a lot of him. I do think he needs to probably eventually win the North American title and maybe even the NXT title eventually. I think he's a guy that needs to hang around for a little while, establish his brand as a champion eventually. Maybe he's the guy that beats Wesley eventually. I don't want him to do it like super quick. I want Wesley to have his reign and kind of establish himself a little bit, but I think Grayson could be the guy that maybe eventually beats him in some way. So I think he could be main roster if they want him to be, but I think he definitely could hang around and win a few championships along the way.
All right. Ikeman Jiro. He's okay. He's one of those guys. It's like, is he going to be Tajiri or is he going to be Yoshitatsu? It's like he's goofy, he's funny, wrestling with a jacket on. Okay. I was a little disappointed that Jacket Time didn't go as long. I also didn't get that character either. The Back to the Future thing that was going on over there. But I think like main roster, no. Like, I like the guy and I think he's funny and I think he's a fun character, but I don't know. I'm trying to think like how what they can do to get him main. I mean, look, is everybody going to be main roster? Probably not. No. Maybe, or some people will leave, go away, maybe go to AEW, go somewhere else, and maybe come back. I mean, he's solid. I mean, his in ring is good, but he's a little too goofy, in my opinion. What do you think of this guy?
No, I definitely agree with you. If he ever goes to the main roster, if the 24/7 title still exists, he's like 24/7 division for life. So he's perfectly fine. The jacket stuff's kind of goofy, and I can understand if somebody thought it was stupid, but he's funny enough. I think he's has a good enough character to maybe be involved in a lot of backstage skits, but he's never going to elevate past like the lowest of low cards as far as championships or anything like that is considered. I don't ever see him really contending for the North American title. And definitely not the NXT title. Maybe if they eventually get him another partner, maybe if they get over enough. I liked him and Kushida together. I don't know that they would ever won the tag titles if Kushida had hung around, but the less said, the better probably on this guy.
Yeah. Now this is a guy I wish I had watched more of his stuff in NXT UK because the guy took the belt off Walter, so he's got to be solid. That they have to see something in him, and I think the guy's great. I think he just needs more exposure to this audience. But another guy that should have a run with the belt, Ilya Dragunov. He's good. He's a technician. He could hang. I could definitely see him on the main roster before long, but I think he needs to get more exposure to this audience. What do you think of Dragunov?
No, yeah, I definitely think he just needs to be in front of this American NXT crowd. That obviously not everybody has enough time. Like you said, it's there's a lot of content out there for a lot of people to watch. So, a lot of people didn't have enough time to watch NXT on a weekly basis. So don't feel bad about not seeing it. But yeah, he had a lot of great stuff over there. Another guy we'll talk about. He had some good matches with him over there, as well as he's already had a match with him over here that was pretty good. But his stuff with Walter is that first match they had is one of those 5-star Dave Meltzer classics that he loves and all that kind of stuff. But he's so stiff. Everything he delivers is with such force, kind of like Braun. But he's a little bit more stiff than Braun. Braun just kind of looks like he just plows through you. But Ilya just throws everything with he's trying to hurt you with everything that he's throwing at you. That freaking running headbutt is insane every time he hits it. But yeah, he's definitely a star, and he'll be here and be very prominent for a good bit, I'd say. And I think he will be champion eventually.
Yeah. Indy Hartwell, I like her. She had to grow on me a little bit, but I think she still needs some seasoning. But actually, I think she's somebody that if they brought up to the main roster, she could continue to get better. You know what I mean? Like put her in with, maybe partner with her with somebody that's a little more. I mean, I don't know if I want to see her back with Candice, but maybe put her in some kind of a faction. Maybe make her the 4th member of Damage Control, and kind of have Bailey, and Io and Dakota kind of bring her along a little bit. She's maybe the younger, kid sister kind of thing, and the one that needs to learn, the one that will maybe, get beat up more than the others for a while. But I definitely see her being solid. I don't know if she'll be a champion at all, but I do kind of like her though.
Yeah, and she has size. You don't see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She's real tall. So I think that's something that makes her stand out a little bit. I do like that idea of making her a Damage Control member. Maybe she goes up and is acting like buddy with Candice and turns on her and kind of becomes that 4th member that Damage Control kind of needs. She can be their like bully, big, bigger person, that
their enforcer. So
yeah, kind of their enforcer. Yeah, that's what I was going for. Yeah, I could definitely see her fitting into some kind of role like that, where she doesn't talk a lot, but she's just kind of their muscle and kind of throws people around whenever, they may be. The other 3 maybe getting beat up a little bit. She can kind of come in and throw everybody around that's trying to mess with them. But I kind of like that idea. I hope they do that. I do think she's one of those that doesn't need to hang around in NXT too much longer. I think she definitely needs to go up. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with her when they do that.
Yeah. Ivy Nile, like her, but finally starting to get a little more character stuff coming out of her. But definitely needs more time, more seasoning. She's somebody that will be there for a while, I think. And it'll be good for her. I think she's good in the ring. She's a level up person because sometimes I'm scrolling on the WWE YouTube when I'm like, got a few minutes to kill, and I see her. She's in matches there quite a bit. I think there's quite an upside to her. It's just she needs repetition and more. It'd be a disservice if she was to come up before she's ready, because I think she's somebody that could do well. Just needs that time.
Yeah. I definitely think she needs to be on TV a little bit more. I feel like like you said, she's on Level Up a good bit. They obviously trust her to be the another one of those stalwarts that's on that show. But I think she needs a little bit more exposure on like actual NXT TV. I think she's good in the ring, but I definitely think she could learn and be a little bit better at the other aspects of the business if she got a little bit more exposure on the TV show, for sure.
All right, so
yeah.
All right, so we got Joe Gacy, Jagger Reed, Rip Fowler, who I love the Grizzled Young Veterans. I know what they were trying to do with changing all these names and everything like that, and now Ava Rain is the latest member. I like this group. Yes, they're comparisons to Bray and the Wyatt family and the Ravens flock even. So I mean, but I do like them. I love Joe Gacy's theme. I think it's really good. Again, this is with Gacy. He's got the character stuff. The in-ring, there's a couple of flashy moves here and there. He needs more in-ring, but look, so did Bray. Bray had the character thing from the get-go. The in-ring was okay. It's gotten better. I think putting, Jagger and Rip, I can't believe I'm saying that, with them, I think gives them solid hands. I did not see that coming with the two of them. I thought they were going to actually win the belts at some point as the Grizzled Young Veterans. But I like this. I think it's a group that's going to run roughshod, they're going to be your big heel faction, especially adding The Rock's daughter, Ava Raine, to the group. I think she's there with them so she can learn and come along, because Dwayne ain't gonna let his daughter be part of anything that's not gonna set her up to succeed. I like them. I just again, I think it's gonna be something we're gonna see for a while though, because we don't know what's happening with Bray, what the Wyatt Six is going to be or whatever. So I think they need to keep them off the main roster so there's no comparisons, because it's not fair to them, because they've been doing this thing for a little while. Gacy took a little bit and then started building up. Now he's finally got his faction going. Maybe adds another member or two to his growing group. But I like this gimmick, and I want to see where they go. In NXT.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes going forward. Joe Gacy's one of those guys that, like, in ring, I just don't enjoy him. I don't know why. It's just something about him that I just don't really love. I do like the Grizzled Young Veterans. I always liked them. They started to kind of treat them as goofy, and they were losing the, like, jacket time that we talked about before.
Yeah.
And I just felt like they needed something different. I'm hoping that this will get them to a point where they can be featured a lot more and maybe get into that tag team title chase and maybe be champions eventually. Because I do think they're good in the ring. But this one's just gonna have to grow on me. I do think in Ava Raine's debut, she did sound confident on the mic, so she got a little bit of her daddy's flair in her. So, but I thought she sounded really good for that being her first time on TV, because she hasn't even been on Level Up or anything like that. So, that was her first in-ring stuff at all. So, that I've seen anywhere. So, I mean, she's probably been on house shows and stuff like that, but she seemed real confident with the mic. So, hopefully that'll continue to be the thing, and they'll kind of guide her along, as you kind of said, putting her with three kind of veteran guys. Will guide her in that way. But I'm interested to see where the tag team goes forward, and maybe I'll get Gacy eventually, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was surprised that she was the female member. I honestly was. Mm-hmm. Wasn't even in the, because I'm trying to, like, you sit there like, who is that? I thought it was what's her name, Kiana James from The Body type. Yeah. But it wasn't. We'll talk about her in a second. JD McDonough. I love his kind of like his sick deranged character. The guy is really solid in ring. Main roster. I see like I don't want to think he's a Justin Gabriel like on the main roster, but I'd like to see him do further, because he's really good at playing this like unhinged this character, and I like his in ring. I saw him a little bit in NXT UK, but I do like I did like his matches with Braun and Ilya. So I think he's going to be one of those thorns in the side for a while. Maybe a surprise Rumble entrant if they go to 40. But if not, I maybe see him up 9 months from now, maybe. I don't know, but I think he's really solid though.
Yeah, I think he's really good in ring. The character stuff has been really good. It's kind of hokey at points, but I do like that he's kind of a deranged maniac that knows that if he picks at the former injury or whatever they may have had in the past, that he can have the advantage or whatever. But like I was saying with Ilya Dragunov, this is the guy he had two bangers with in UK before Jordan Devlin that he was before, but now JD McDonough came over. Because he came over before the NXT UK thing kind of got shut down. I think this is a guy that needs to be in NXT for a good bit. I think he could definitely be in that North American title contention for a while, and then maybe eventually he does win the NXT championship. But I think this is a guy that needs to definitely hang down there for a little bit, because I think he needs to let the bigger, stronger, guys that may be the superstars now kind of fade away, and maybe this smaller group of people can get over in a generation where that's maybe not around anymore, because he's young, so he'll be he'll be around for a while. So.
Yeah, he's like an Adam Cole, like needs to kind of clear the needs like the graduating class to go for him to be like the big man on campus, so to speak. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he's capable of. Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Wolfgang. I don't know much about Gallus. I remember seeing them a little bit when I watched NXT UK. So to me, they're a solid group from what I've seen so far. I think they're gonna be fun. See them, having some nice feuds with like the Creeds and some other teams. But I really don't have much of much knowledge to really go into them that much. What about you?
Yeah, I mean they're kind of meh. I mean they're fine. They're good in ring. They're good technical guys. The Coffey brothers are, and Wolfgang's kind of the powerhouse, bigger guy. They're all pretty big, but he's the biggest one of them. He's kind of their powerhouse of their team. So they're fine. They're one of those that I won't even say I don't get them. I just don't necessarily love their style, I guess. But they're fine. They can be good hands in that tag division. Joe could be in, that North American picture going forward a little bit because he was always kind of the singles guy, and the other two were the tag team. So we'll see. That's the best I can do on them.
A couple of ladies that are good. They still need a lot of work. Kiana James, Lash Legend. I think they're both fine. I think Kiana may be a little further along than Lash Legend. Lash Legend may have the character thing a little more, but they're two that they're like early. I mentioned them earlier, like early Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. Like they were good. You could see like they're trying stuff, but they need time to really get that in ring or get that character thing. Like Kiana James, she's smart. Like they're starting to do a little something with her, a little more, but. And Lash Legend, she starts off as a talk show host. I mean, they're fine. They are what they are. They're there to try stuff, and we'll see what happens with the two of them. Any thoughts on either of those ladies?
Yeah, I think Kiana has the character stuff down. I think she could benefit from having like a group. I think they're starting to try to get her to have. I think Ariana Grace is her name. They're kind of trying to pair them together, so maybe they'll be a tag team. But I think she could have because she's kind of like a business lady. She has I feel like she could have like a firm. I mean, not to steal from AEW, but she could have like a firm of people to be her, sidekicks, and then maybe they could rise up to eventually be the next Toxic Attraction if they could get over and be better, a little bit better in the ring, whoever they pair her with. But
the York Foundation.
Maybe. Yeah, something like that.
It's Keebler.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always, look, there's only so many gimmicks and characters you could do. So, so you see something that worked maybe a while ago, and you do your own spin on it, though.
Yeah, exactly. But Lash Legend, my former classmate at Mississippi State,
okay,
she is, she played basketball when we both went to college there at the same time. So, but
I went to high school with Tommy Dreamer. I didn't know him. He was awesome. 2 years ahead of me.
That's awesome. But yeah, she definitely needs some work in the ring. I think she's still kind of green in that area. I think she's got the whole, I'm the bad bitch down, the character and everything. But she definitely could use a little more in the ring for sure.
Yeah. Miko Satomura, I don't know how long she's going to be around, because she's a little older there. Maybe somebody that we'll see sparingly, show up in the Rumble. Maybe somebody that'll end up at the NXT Europe. Maybe to be like that veteran hand over there. I don't know. You have any thoughts on Miko?
Yeah, I think she's going to be more of I think she's probably helping train a little bit more now that she's over here. Because I think there was a question of whether she was going to be one of the ones that even came over and maybe left the company for a little bit and came back whenever Europe started up. Because a lot of the guys that left just didn't want to switch over for a little bit and then go back and everything like that. So I thought, honestly, she would be one of those that she just came in, lost the title, and kind of went away again. But I think maybe she's probably more of a trainer at this point. Maybe she's that surprise Rumble appearance, like you said. But I don't. She's like you said, she's kind of older, so I don't know that she does much more as far as NXT is concerned, at least.
All right, we got Mr. Stone and Von Wagner. I like Mr. Stone. The guy can take bumps. I mean, it took, honestly, it was one of those, I was this days old when I figured out that he was Robbie E. So it took me a little while to put two and two together. Von Wagner has grown on me. I thought he was very bland in the beginning, but he's one of those, bland baby faces that you give him a heel run and finally has like a personality. And he's a guy that needs a manager. I actually, honestly, he was my pick to win the NXT belt in the North American title. I figured, like, we've had a bunch of little guys, smaller guys had the belt. Let's give somebody a little bit bigger in size run with it. But I mean, I like this pairing. Von Wagner is one of those that I could see getting brought up a little sooner than he may be ready, almost like a Braun Strowman situation, where Braun wasn't exactly ready yet. I mean, he was fairly green, but he did develop quickly. So I think there's an upside to this kid. And Mr. Stone, I think he's somebody that he actually would do well on the main roster, because you don't see a lot of managers outside of MVP, right? Not a lot of them. So and Paul Heyman. So we could use another one. There's not too many of them. It's not like, the glory days when we had like, Jimmy and Bobby and Mr. Fuji and Johnny Valiant. Like, there was like so many managers. But I think the two of them, I think they should keep them together if they bring Vaughn up. I think he needs to come with them to help establish him. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, he definitely needs that manager, because he's got that Jack Swagger lisp, but like whenever he talks, it's just like I can't take him seriously for at any time that he really speaks. So he definitely needs Mr. Stone out there to talk for him a little bit and hype him up a little bit. I think he's getting better in ring for sure. He's one of those guys that, like you said, I think he was kind of green at first. Didn't really feel confident in what he was doing. They kind of tried to throw him with O'Reilly to start off with, and I thought that was a real weird pairing, even though they did have a tag title match with Imperium at one of the takeover, special events, what do you want to call it. That was pretty good. I don't really think it was because of him, but I think it was because of the other three guys that were in the ring. But I definitely think he definitely needs some more polishing. I could have seen him maybe be in a dark horse to win the North American Championship in that latter match, but I feel more confident that Wesley could probably do what he needs to do with that title now than I think he probably could have. So I think they made the right move. But he has upside for sure. He has size. But yeah, I definitely think he needs that manager to kind of speak for him.
Yeah. All right. Nathan Frazier, we spoke about a little bit. I like the guy. It's just one of those I need to see more. And exactly. he's got the in-ring. Definitely one of the best high flyers they have in NXT right now. But I one of those, like, I want to see more from this guy. Give me some character, give me something. But I do like the guy in the ring. And like you said, I was happy that he got the spot over a kid in that ladder match.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really have anything to add. That's kind of how I feel about him. Definitely need to see a little bit more, but I've been impressed with what he's done in the ring so far.
All right, Nikita Lyons. I like her. She can move. For a big girl. They need another larger woman on the main roster. I think we got what's her Dewdrop, who I do like. She's like the anti Nia, where everybody says she's like one of the safest workers they have, from what I understand. But she definitely needs seasoning though. Mm-hmm. She needs a little more. Some of her moves don't come off as crisp as they should. The character stuff is there, needs more definition. I mean, she's somebody I think we'll see in the Rumble. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we'll see on the main roster for a little bit.
Yeah. She'll definitely be down there for a little bit. I definitely think, like you said, pretty much in all aspects, she needs a little bit more seasoning, needs to get a little better at certain things. But I do enjoy her. I think she does have a different style for the kind of size competitor that she is. She has the like crazy kicks that she can pull out, and the whole splits finisher that she does is pretty cool and pretty interesting and kind of different, something you haven't really seen before. But she definitely needs more seasoning. But I know Scott Shiflett's a big fan of her, so she'll always have that guy at least. But no, she's good, and she'll get better for sure.
Yeah, he is a mark. I'll give him that. It's just that's what we called him on Pop Goes to the Couch. So, all right, so we'll go through a few guys here quickly. Odyssey Jones, who has been gone for a little while, just showed up. I don't know if he was injured or what, but he did just show up. I believe last week, I think he showed up at the end of the show or drove up and son. We have Oro Mensah, who's still relatively new. Was a little surprised to see him in the ladder match. And then we have Quincy Elliott, who is a different character. He's kind of like I mean, he's definitely something. I really I hope. I mean, he's got a little gold dust in there, so to speak, to him. Maybe it's the outfit, maybe some of his mannerisms. I've only seen like one of his matches. These are all three of these guys are going to be guys that are going to be there for a while and have time. I really don't have much else to say on those three.
Yeah. I mean, Odyssey Jones I think he tore his ACL like right as he got called up. So, he was in that like top prospects tournament or whatever they call it, breakout star or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think he lost in the final. I think he lost in the finals to Carmelo. So, I think he probably has some upside because he's a pretty big dude. But I need to see more of him, obviously. Oro Mensah was Oliver Carter, I think was his name in NXT UK. They gave him a little different character, different name. But he's one of those that he's kind of new to. He was in a tag team over there, so I mean, I haven't really seen him be a single star yet. So he's one of those I need to see a little bit more of. And yeah, Quincy has a little bit of that Goldust vibe to him, but he's kind of another wait and see. So a lot of this little group right here is a lot of wait and see guys because they've either been hurt or are kind of new to the scene. So we'll see.
Okay. So moving down, Roddy. Is he legit injured or is this kayfabe like storyline?
I think it's just kayfabe.
Yeah, he's a guy that needs to come up. There's nothing else for him to do really down there.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's just going to be the Creed's manager, but I would like to see him get used in the ring. I don't know how well he would get used in the main roster, but he's been down there so long that like just give him a shot, see what he can do, see what he can pull out with some guys, and maybe he works out and can have a few really good matches with people. So I know he's talented enough for sure, but he definitely needed to do something different with him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of his contemporaries are on, that he was in NXT with are now up there, like Gargano, Ciampa. So, he's proven that he can have solid matches with them. So let's just give him a shot. Roxanne Perez, I am so high on her. I think, she's somebody they're probably going to strap the Rocket to at some point. I can see her beating Mandy. And like we talked about earlier, having that, basically her and Cora are probably going to be linked for a while, like throughout their time in WWE, because they're both young. They're both in NXT together. They're having this really, fun feud, and they could probably reignite it for years. But there's definitely a lot of upside to her, and I really do enjoy watching her in the ring.
Yeah. She's great. I think she's going to be a star eventually. I definitely think she is at least going to be involved in a match where Mandy Rose eventually loses the title. So whether it's her beating her for it or that three-way that maybe she has with her and Cora ends up scoring it. But yeah, like you said, I think they're going to be linked for a while. It's just a rivalry. Their Weapons Wild match or whatever they called it at Halloween Havoc was a little spotty in points. I feel like they really didn't know how to work that style of match quite yet. So maybe they need to work out a few kinks and some kind of stuff like that. But I definitely think they're both really talented and they can have a great match eventually. But I think that little stipulation thrown in there may have thrown them off a little bit. But I do think she's incredibly talented and will be a big featured part of this, even in the next 6 months, I think. So for sure.
All right. Sangha and Veer. These guys, get a repackage. Kind of a, from what I was reading, Shawn Michaels wants them to be presented differently, not like Veer was, Vince's, let's make him a savage. Let's make him this, thing coming out there and just beating people up. And, they took him off TV. They sent him back down. And Sangha's been honing his, he's been on TV, but he's been more of like that motivational, I guess, speaker kind of thing. And now he's that kind of conflicted, his old buddy's down here. He's been a face. His old buddy's down there as a heel. And he's kind of like, getting those heelish tendencies. So I do like them. I think they're going to need time, but they're definitely another team that, give them 6 to 6 months or so, at least maybe a year of being dominant in NXT, and then we'll see them on the main roster, I think.
Yeah. They've got way more size than a lot of people do. They're two big hosses of dudes. So it's definitely a big guy tag team that it's nice to have in the NXT tag division. So I think they'll be a good part of it. We'll see how they work out going forward. We hadn't really seen them in the ring yet. They've just done a lot of backstage stuff. I think they attacked the Creeds last week. So that's the really first time we've really seen him in the ring. I mean, Sanga was in the ring with Waller when he was with him for a little bit, but that was only like a month or two, so we didn't really get to see very much of them. But they'll be an interesting tag team to see going forward.
Saray, I think they're still trying to figure her out.
Mm-hmm.
What the deal is with her when she's like this, kind of bookish kind of schoolgirl, and then when she goes out there in the ring, then with the medallion or whatever the hell that is, she becomes the Empress of the Sun or whatever it is. I mean, it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we gotta see her more because she's been on TV sporadically. I don't know if she had an injury. I don't know what the deal was with her.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what the deal was with her either. But yeah, I feel like she'll be on for a month or so and then she'll disappear. And then I don't really feel like they figured out what they want to do with her yet. Because I think if maybe she was more featured, she could be that baby face that maybe could take down Mandy too. But she hasn't had the time, and she pops in, pops out, so we'll see. That's another we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Sloane Jacobs, don't know much about her. I've only seen her a couple times. Saul Ruka is like a surfer girl that just debuted, and Tatum Paxley is, well, I really don't know what her character is, but she's been okay. I mean, I think they're all relatively young. They're all relatively green and need to learn. I think, when we do this kind of roster deep dive again, we'll probably have maybe have different to say in a few months from them. But yeah, right now I think they're all too new to really speak that much on. Do you have anything that stands out on any of them?
Nah, I mean, Tatum Paxley's been linked with Diamond Mine and Ivy Nile for a while, so they could be a tag team. That could, contend for the women's tag titles eventually if they build them up a little bit more. Like you said, Saul Roca just debuted really. She was kind of a level upper for the last few months, and Sloane Jacobs the same. So they're definitely some wait and sees just because you haven't seen very much of them.
All right, Tiffany Stratton. I really like this girl.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's athletic in the ring. Again, somebody just needs more time, but she's somebody I think will be up before a lot of the others on the roster. I think her character is down. Is it a character that's got long-lasting potential on the main roster? Probably not, but she can probably get a couple of years out of it at least. And then she gets to the point where, okay, we got to change it up with this girl. But I love her finisher, that kind of twisting, splash that she's got. I think she's pretty good. I didn't love her feud with Wendy Chu, but I do think she's somebody that's gonna be on the main roster probably within the next year, and we'll be okay. But she'll continue to learn. I think she's a little further than some of the others, but she's somebody I see like another one I see like a lot of upside with.
Yeah. She definitely has a ton of upside. Definitely has star potential. I could see her going pretty far. Like you said, I don't know that the character has like forever long-lasting legs or anything like that, but she could get a good bit out of it for a while. But yeah, she's a future NXT Women's Champion. I could see for sure. Maybe not the next one. Obviously, I think she could use a little more polishing before then. But I definitely down the road a little bit could see her being champion. And like you said, I could see her getting called up before she even gets that opportunity, because I think she's really, really talented and has that star potential. So maybe she'll realize it a little quicker than we think she might, or maybe she'll stay in NXT for a bit, be a champion, and really hone her craft and do that stuff while she's down there, and then go up and have success as well. So, but I definitely think she has a lot of upside.
Trick Williams, need to see more from the guy.
Yeah.
Mostly been Carmelo's second. He's got some character stuff. I think he needs more, because he comes off more annoying to me than anything.
Yeah.
So I think definitely if Carmelo comes up, he can't come up with him. He's not there, man. He is not ready. He needs to be his own person, I think. Anything on Trick?
Nah, I kind of agree with you. If Carmelo comes up, I won't say prematurely, but if he comes up before, he becomes NXT champion or anything like that, yeah, I think Trick definitely needs to stay down and kind of hone his craft a little bit more.
All right. Tyler Bate, veteran. I don't know if we'll ever see him on the main roster. I mean, we could see him in the Rumble. Maybe that's where they kind of take a look at him, see if he's somebody that, could be somebody we could see. He's definitely a solid hand. But I think he needs more exposure over here as well. He's one of those. He's like Dragunov. Like this audience has not seen enough of him, and I think that really will help his case. I think he would be solid. He'd be a really solid hand on the main roster, but he just needs time. Like he's not somebody that should be in NXT, like just because of what he's done and what he's accomplished. But he kind of needs to be in NXT. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he needs to have exposure to the American audience that may not have necessarily watched that UK brand and may just watch the regular NXT that comes on USA every week. But yeah, he just needs more exposure. He's great. I think he's talented enough to be on the main roster, but maybe, like you said, he just needs to be featured a little bit more on this TV, and maybe he can break out and become a main roster superstar eventually. But maybe he's just one of those guys that they feature on here until NXT UK or NXT Europe comes around and he goes back over there and is one of their stars. So
yeah,
because that'll need stars when they come back. So we'll see a lot of these UK guys, see if they kind of just exist and then go back there. But I'll be interested to see what they do with him. But he definitely needs more of that exposure.
Now, I believe one of them is injured, right? Is it Valentina Feroz and Elisa Leon? I believe one of them just got injured.
Yeah, Leon, I think, hurt her leg. Feroz is still around, but
they were starting to cut to they gave them kind of a cohesion a little bit with their tag team, weren't just put together, and they were starting to it looked like it was the beginning of something with them. And so I mean I've only saw them a couple of times, but they were somebody I think that was going to be like part of the women's tag division for a bit. But I don't know how long Elisa's going to be out, but I think Valentina's going to continue to be on TV for in the meantime though, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think they were in that fatal 4-way for the tag titles that I think Caden Carter and Katana Chance finally won the titles in. But I think that they knew that they were going to be the first team eliminated, and they really wanted to show out for the little time that they were in the ring. And I really think they looked really good in that time that they were featured in that fatal 4-way match. So I really think they, showed the world what they could do in the time that they were in the match. But obviously they were still the first team out, so they aren't heavily featured at that point. But maybe when Leon comes back, they can be a good stalwart in that tag team division. But kind of a wait and see to see if that's what they end up doing, or if she comes back and Feroz has become a single star in her stead, and they don't end up being a tag team when she comes back. But
it could happen. It's happened before.
Potential there.
Yeah. Somebody who my son can't stand. I like her, but her character, no way is a main roster character. Wendy Chu. I like her actually. I think she's goofy. I think she's solid in ring. But I think on the main roster, it's kind of like, what are we doing, people? I mean, did she ever wrestle in that other gimmick? No,
I don't think so. Maybe once.
Yeah, on the throne and everything like that. So I didn't even know that was her.
I didn't either.
but she's somebody like here's this gimmick. You like to sleep. You like to wear pajamas. I mean, they're starting to get away from that, which seems good. But I think she needs a gimmick change before she comes up, because I think in ring, I think she's got it. But she's showing that she could take this character that is, I like to be comfortable. I like to sleep. I like to drink out of my my tumbler. But yeah, there needs to be something else there.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's a good comedic character. If you want that comedic character to be up on the main roster and use her, she could do that. She pulls it off really well. I think she's perfectly solid in the ring. I've enjoyed most of the stuff she did. I really enjoyed her and Stratton facing each other. That I think they had like a no holds barred match or whatever they called it. Or they called it a lights out match. That's what it was. But I really enjoyed that match that they had together. So I think she's good in ring. Yeah, the character's probably not going to amount to much on the main roster, but yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed her so far, but she definitely needs to add some, twinges to it or something like that, or maybe she can go back to being maybe a crazy, wild demon queen or whatever she was supposed to be before. But who knows? But I definitely think she's talented enough in the ring to succeed going forward.
Zion Quinn, seen him. He's been fine. I put him in that, like, that Duke Hudson, like he needs to find like his character. Yeah. And this is a person now. It looks like they may start to tease a heel turn, which I think will be tremendous. Because I think of her and I think solid in the ring, but does nothing for me otherwise. Zoe Stark. Like I'm like, I like her in the ring, but she's so vanilla. Like there's nothing there. Like, okay, vanilla is a good flavor, but sometimes I need a little something more to engage me with it. And I need something more from her. And I think probably that heel turn, we give her a little personality, we give her something. So maybe they partner her with somebody and it brings it out. But definitely in ring, good. But character, nothing there.
Yeah, she was one of those flavor of the months that I thought would beat Mandy when she had the title shot against her, because she had a real hot return in that battle royal that she won to get the title shot. The crowd really reacted to her. She was the QR code person. They had a QR code for a few weeks that was teasing a return of somebody, but it ended up being her. So the crowd, the crowd reacted.
I was like the crowd, I was like, oh, we're okay. Mm-hmm. Zoe Stark, yay.
Yeah.
No, I think she's fine, but yeah, it was like kind of like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a heel turn could be good for her, kind of show another side of her, so that could be a good thing going forward.
All right, I think we got everybody. That was a lot, but this is probably going to be our longest episode for a bit, because we really wanted to kind of establish a show and give our thoughts on the roster, kind of, and go in there so you kind of know where we're coming from when we do these upcoming regular episodes, which are going to be basically review breakdowns of the month in NXT. So like where our feelings are, who we like, who we dislike, who we want to see more from. Like I said, we're going to have, on each episode, we're going to say, like, okay, who are our 3 people that have their stock is up this month? Who is stock down? Who do we think may be coming to the main roster soon? Give 1 or 2. Who think, is probably going to go down the ladder a little bit, that kind of thing. But, we really just wanted to come out of the gate and kind of establish ourselves and show that, we do watch it and we are, fans of it. And we're here because we want to be here and we want to talk about this. And, we both want to talk about some modern day WWE, and I couldn't think of a better person to do a wrestling show on a topic like this than Logan. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to do this. Thankful as always to my good friend, the Podfather Scott Criscull, for allowing me, to pitch an idea, and he says, "Cool, go with it," and solid. And once I told him that Logan was on, it was like sold. Done. But no, I had fun. I know it was a little long for this episode, but we're gonna have a good time and hopefully give you some insight into the NXT brand, which is going through a change. It's it's not 2.0 anymore. It's not going to be black and gold, but what is it really going to be? Let's give it some time where it's really Triple H and Shawn running the show now. And let's see where it goes, because I'm excited to see where it's going to end up. And I love what they're doing with these people that are down there. They're not there's not a lot of head scratchers in the booking at NXT, in my opinion. What do you think, Logan?
No, I think overall they make a lot of good. I mean, you could say maybe the Wesley winning the North American title could be a little bit of a head scratcher because they haven't really fleshed him out quite yet. But I think he's talented enough in ring. He could get it to where it would be made to work. So, but yeah, for the most part, I think there's a lot. The booking is pretty spot on and works really well.
All right, cool. All right, so before we go, Logan, is there anything you want to plug that's coming up soon for you?
I have a bevy of shows on the wrestling feed. YouTube Roulette, that's where we pick some random matches from YouTube. Watch them, or live watch them. We usually pick one match each and go through them. Wrestling Chicken Salad, we watch some of the worst pay-per-views of all time. We recently did Halloween Havoc 1992. That we had Tim Capel on that one. He was our special guest. Me, Callum, and Ben usually are the three that are on that show, but every now and then we have a special guest. Tim's kind of our Halloween Havoc expert. So our Highway to the Impact Zone is the show I host on here. We're going through 2005 Impact. We're almost at 2006. We just did Turning Point 2005, and then Starflation is another show that I have here on the wrestling feed. That's kind of going through Dave Meltzer's 5-star matches and readjusting them for the 7-star scale that he has now. So, but that's what I have here on the wrestling feed that other people can listen to me on. So,
all right, cool. All right, so for me on the wrestling feed, I have a couple of shows that may or may not come back. Evolution, which is a breakdown, a deep dive into the career of a legendary wrestler, and as well as Wrestling's Great Debate. Those are both in the hiatus stage right now. So thinking about that, because my main home is on the Place Be Nation Pop Experience, where I've been a wrestling fan for a long time. I love wrestling. I love talking wrestling. But for me, movies, pop culture, that's really my bread and butter for the most part. So I have several podcasts on there. Monthly, I have the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational podcast. I do it with Miranda Berthold, where we break down episodes of The Muppet Show. We're going to be doing live watches of the Muppet movies. I have the Pop Goes the Classics Disney Pod, where me, Miranda, and Steve Rillo go through all the classic animated Disney features. We try to do them monthly as much as we can. And I have other shows like Laugh in Theater, which is a live watch, holiday, Christmas, not holiday, but we're going to be doing some special holiday episodes coming up soon. Live watch Comedy Pod, Blockbuster Rewatch. I've talked to Shiflet about that, see if we want to continue with that. Year in Pop is going to come back at some point soon, and a brand new pod debuting probably around Thanksgiving will be Cartoons of Our Youth, where myself and a guest will talk about their favorite cartoon growing up, and we'll live watch a couple of episodes of that cartoon. So look for that, all those coming in. And also every weekday is PTBM Pop's Video Jukebox Song of the Day, is a quick pod blast of a famous song or music video that myself, Steve Rill, Scott Criscolo, we've had some others like John Kisalika has participated, Callum and Ben have been in there. The group from PTB and NeXT, which is Tim, Jake, and Jenny. Check that out. So we're giving you, old NXT. We're giving you new NXT here on the feed. So lots of NXT here. And so check all those out on the Pop Experience. Check out PlaceMation.com each and every day. Articles and all the podcasts from all the feeds are on there. Is all of our shows here on the Wrestling Network, all the shows on the Pop Experience, and all the shows on the North-South Connection. That great collection of pop culture, sports, and wrestling shows. Check those out every day. And join the Facebook group Place to Be on Facebook. Come on, have fun. All right, cool. So we're going to be back here monthly. That is our plan. And we're going to go over the episodes every month, kind of give some thoughts on the matches, and if there's a special, we'll try to talk about that too. All right, so for the Mud Pie, Logan Crosland, I'm Andy Atherton. Thank you for joining us on the first episode on Who's Next, and we'll see you next month. Take care.